Welcome to Pushing the Envelope, Canada's unfiltered voice in construction. Real conversations, smart insights from the people building our world. Brought to you by Bothwell Accurate.
Hey Megan, thanks for coming in and talking with us. Did you want to start by maybe introducing yourself and where you're from?
For sure. Yeah, I'm Megan Osland. I'm from Kelowna, BC, and I'm a professional golfer and Bothwell Accurate sponsored athlete.
Amazing. Yeah, so we've met briefly in the past. I think once a couple of years ago when you came. I picked you up from the airport actually 30 minutes ago. Where are you flying in from and what were you doing there?
I came from Orlando this morning. Just finished up 3 weeks of tournaments on the Epson Tour.
Okay, awesome.
So went from warm to a little bit cooler, but that's
and
all right.
what's the Epson Tour?
So the Epson Tour is, for people who are more familiar with hockey, it's like the AHL of the women's golf world. So it's one level below the LPGA Tour, the developmental tour, I guess, of the LPGA.
Okay, cool. And for those of us, like I don't know a lot about professional golf. Like, what does a typical season look like for you?
A lot of travel. So typically my tournament season will run March through October. And I'll play anywhere between 19 and 23 tournaments during that span of time.
Wow, okay.
And then I'm always training in the off season as well. So it's just constant either training or tournament play.
So just round the clock golf for
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Pretty much.
So like, how did you get into golf? Like, what's the story there?
I played a lot of sports growing up. I started golfing when I was about 8 years old, and I was actually a hockey player though first.
Really?
Golf
Okay.
was just something for me to do in the off season when I wasn't playing hockey.
You're like, it's a stick in my hand.
Yeah, it just worked. And so it kind of came naturally to me, and I started playing tournaments when I was about 10 or 12, and then had to make a decision between golf and hockey at one point because they were starting to overlap. So decided to stick with golf and take it as far as I could take it.
Yeah, that's really reputable. And I mean, growing up in sports, you kind of get that built-in ingrained of just that discipline. Did you have a good support system growing up then to go into something so competitive like golf?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say my biggest support system are my parents. They sacrificed so much for me throughout all my levels of golf, and I couldn't ask for better support from my family. And I've also had great coaches along the way that have supported me a ton, so very lucky in that regard.
I think having like a really good support system kind of can make or break a competitive career.
Definitely, yeah.
Did you find that you faced any like doubts, especially like from anyone, kind of giving you a hard time, especially, being a woman in a career, in a professional athlete that's not necessarily well known, especially probably when you started back then? I don't know if there were a lot of professional women golfers or if anyone talked about it.
Yeah, I think women's golf has grown so much since I started to play. There are a lot of people who aren't so familiar with the women's game. A lot of people watch men's golf. I think women's golf is growing a lot. But I think I always have just leaned on that support system that I've had, and that's kind of where I've got my drive from to keep going.
Awesome. And where does like Bothwell come into all of this? I know we've been supporting you for a number of years. I think before I was a part of the Bothwell team, but if maybe you could just speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 2019 is when I met George, and we met at the Canadian Women's Open in Aurora up at Magna Golf Club.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, beautiful golf course. And so I was lucky to be paired with George in the Pro-Am leading up to the tournaments. It's kind of a round that you play with different people who sponsor the tournament. And so I connected with George during that round, and he offered me a sponsorship, I think that day. And it's a really cool story because that was kind of a time in my career where I was at a crossroads. I had actually lost my status on the Epson Tour at that point, and I was just not really sure of what my next step was going to be. And so when I was offered the sponsorship, it truly changed the trajectory of my whole professional golf career. which is, a testament to say, how generous Bothwell has been to me and how great of an experience it's been to be representing such an amazing company. So
that's really awesome that you feel that way. And I mean, Bothwell is always so happy to just kind of support anyone that's on that pursuit of excellence. And I'm sure that's what George saw in you that day, to kind of just meet you. And it's so funny how the world works with like timing sometimes, right? And
definitely.
Maybe it was a time that he was looking to give back a little bit, and you were kind of also in the need of like searching for maybe some direction.
Sure.
So I'm glad that feels like a genuine partnership, and we're always so happy to see you from, even though wherever you are, we always get like little updates, and we love that you send those over, and everyone in the office is always talking about you anytime we were at a golf tournament. It's just like, oh yeah, you shoot like Megan, let's see. I always give Lenny a hard time about it. Do you think there's like a moment for that you have that kind of defined who you are as a player?
I could think of several moments. I think there's been a couple times where I've really got through some mental hurdles on the golf course. Mental game is such a huge part of professional golf, and I think there's been a few times either coming down the stretch at a tournament, to win, coming down the 18th hole, or trying to make a cut on the number. There have been a lot of times where I've made a breakthrough in that sense, and those are moments that really stand out for me in my career as kind of like breakthrough moments.
Yeah, golf is such a cool, calm, collected sport, and it's such I mean, as much as it is a game of athletics, it's a game of like mental fortitude.
Yeah.
And as somebody that golfs like for fun, I'm like, I understand how I like get so frustrated at my shot or how the round's going, and it doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm not playing for any sort of prize or to better my career. I'm just out for a fun day. So to do it at a professional level, I'm sure it comes with a lot of the highs and lows. And you spoke a little bit about some lows that going through some like mental, like just like a mental game, right? And then what about any of the highs? Like, what can you speak a little bit about that? Or?
I would say a couple highlights of my career that stand out are qualifying for 2 U.S. Women's Opens. So the U.S. Women's Open in women's golf is kind of like the pinnacle of the sport. Yeah. It's a tournament that everyone has to qualify into every year, no matter what your status is. And so
how many players are in that get qualified?
I would say usually the field is around 140 players from around the world. And the fun thing about the U.S. Opens are that it's a mixture of players who are already on the LPGA Tour, but a lot of other players that aren't on those tours can qualify into it as well. So having played 2 of those, I think is probably 2 of the biggest highlights of my career, and moments that I'll never forget in my career.
That's I mean, you look at 140 people, you said, give or take, out of everybody, right? Like, how many people are entering to like get a spot?
Thousands.
There?
Yeah, thousands from all over the world. Yeah.
So just to qualify is such a feat, and I'm sure I know myself, like, I can be pretty like self-critical, so we always look at you can always do better, you can always do this or that. How do you balance the career in golf and your personal life? Because I'm sure golf is kind of your life.
For sure, yeah. Golf definitely takes over more than anything else, but I have learned that I need to have that balance to make sure that I can show up, as the best golfer I can be. 100%. And so I do spend a lot of time making sure that I give myself those breaks, the rest, the recovery, just the mental breaks, time spent with family and friends, and getting away from the golf course is really important for me to play even better when I'm at the golf course. So
I think I take that into consideration too. Just in my career as well. I definitely still going through like the learning process of the work-life balance, because obviously you want to excel and succeed and do your best, and then you kind of make that realization as you get older, you have more experience that, hey, like if I'm not showing up to work, like being my best self, like that's not helpful for anyone, right? And in the long run, it's not sustainable. So I try to remind myself. So I'll ask you the same question, because I remember the first time I got asked this question, I was just like I don't know what to say, and I realized that I didn't have an answer to it. So I was like, okay, maybe I can like share some insight. What do you do for yourself outside of golf?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because when you asked me that, I had a hard time actually thinking of something.
Right?
Because golf takes up so much of my time. And it's funny because for a lot of people, playing golf is what they do in their off time away from work, but for me it's my job. So I have to find other things that fulfill my fill my cup when I'm outside of the golf course. And for me, I would say, I mean, I love to work out. I love to do Pilates. I love to go for hikes. That's my way to kind of, I guess, recharge, disconnect. And other than that, I mean, wherever I am, I travel so much, but wherever I am, I try to get out, explore the city, see something new, try new foods, stuff like that.
That's good. That's good that you like make a conscious effort to, well, you get this experience to travel. I'm sure traveling gets exhausting when you do it for a living, right? But it'd be so much easier and also very well justified if you're like, hey, I'm gonna go to like my hotel room and then I have to train, and then you do that and kind of go through that cycle. I get it, but to make the effort to go out and explore the city and do those things that fill your cup while you're not working is great to hear.
It's important.
Definitely important. But yeah, that's, like I said, like that's something that I'm still figuring out. And I try and remind myself often. I'm like, what do I do for myself? Yeah. Right, because it's just as important to do things for yourself that aren't necessarily like career based or for your friends or for your family, but just for you. Yeah. So that's awesome. So let's take a look at. Is there anything surprising at being a pro golfer that maybe some people wouldn't think of?
I don't know. I guess it depends how familiar you are with the game. I think a lot of people are surprised at how much we travel, how much preparation goes into a tournament week. So for example, if my tournament's starting on a Thursday or Friday, I'm getting there on a Saturday or Sunday. So half the week is spent just preparing for the tournament. Right. And then 3 or 4 days of actual tournament play. The travel is demanding. The costs incurred are demanding. That's a lot of time away from family and friends. And, it's the top 1% of, or probably less than that, of golfers, on the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour are living lavishly, but the rest of us are not. And so it's a grind, and you just gotta push through and just keep going. It's one of those things where golf, you got to make the cut to make money. So there's some weeks that you do really well and you make money, and some weeks you try your best and you don't. So that's the way it goes, but it just got to keep pushing and keep working hard and keep at it.
Just keep at it. Yeah. Just nose down. When you're preparing for a big shot or a big day, is there anything that you do when you're like up on the tee box to kind of like a ritual or something that you use to ground yourself in those moments?
I'm big on routine. So in golf, I've got my pre-shot routine, kind of my routines that I go through between shots, a lot of breath work. I meditate, not necessarily on the golf course, but away from the golf course. And I think it's just, the saying is be present, be where your feet are. And that's big in golf because you're out there for a lot of hours and you're hitting a lot of shots. And so it's easy to start thinking ahead or start thinking result oriented. And it's just important to focus on the shot you have in front of you and move past any bad shots or bad holes that you might have quickly and continue on.
I think really true for a lot of things, right? Maybe for you it's on the golf course, right? But just for anyone, right? Be where your feet are and just take it as it comes and work through it, because we can always all get into kind of like that cycle of like, what if this happens and what if this, and it's just okay, like be in the moment, focus on what you can, like what you can control now, and then just keep going that way, because it's the only sustainable way to kind of move and grow as a person and as a player, or in your case. What do you do? Like, do you have any tricks to reset after, like, say, a bad round or like a bad shot? Like, what's your process in those moments?
I think I just go back to same thing I said before about routine, like just sticking to what I have prepared and what I know. That's what kind of grounds me and resets me after a bad shot. I think in golf it's easy to tie your score to your self-worth, and
Definitely.
And you have to kind of detach yourself from that, and realize that there's so many variables and things out of your control on the golf course, and just staying in the moment, focused on what you can control, and just putting your 110% into that. The outcome will be whatever it is, but that's the biggest thing, is just putting one foot in front of the other, and remembering that you can't control everything out there.
Everything, which is so annoying.
Yeah.
Do you think that like mental resilience and fortitude is kind of what defines like the difference between a good player and a great player?
Definitely. I think at the top level in golf, the technical skills are all there for most players, I would say. It's very minuscule, the difference in the technical skills, but the mental game is the biggest part, I think, that defines a good player from a great player.
Just being able to like go out there, focused, locked in, calm, and just take the game one shot at a time. Okay,
Sounds easy,
easier
right?
said, easier said than done. You're like, just go out and be
not.
technically perfect and calm and just present in the moment. But to put it all together is very very impressive. So what are you excited about now? Like, what's the plan for the next season or the next 5 years?
So this year I'm playing on the Epson Tour, full schedule. I will try to qualify for the US Open again this year as well, and then hopefully the Canadian Open as well.
Okay, amazing.
And I think my goal is obviously to get my LPGA Tour card. That's always been my goal, but on this tour, that means coming in the top 10 by the end of the season will get me a full LPGA Tour card. So that's the goal. And just planning my schedule. I've got lots of tournaments coming up, so just preparing for those and getting ready for the rest of the season.
Okay, so the season starts, you said, in March?
Yeah, so we just started our first 3 tournaments, and then we've got a bit of a break now, and I'll go 4 more tournaments in a row starting at the end of April. So.
Okay, so we're busy. We're booked and busy.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. So you have that going for you. Do you have anything else that you're looking forward to, or any other goals that you're kind of chasing right now?
I think I've been working, like we talked about before, a lot on the mental side. And so I'm working with a mental performance coach, and I have a lot of things that I hope to achieve in that regard. Just as well as, some personal goals, fitness goals, stuff like that, things that will ultimately help me achieve my golf goals as well.
Yeah, I think it all kind of goes together, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And do you have, like, a favorite course that you've played?
I have so many. Actually, Magna is one of my favorite golf courses of all time, but I would have to say Pebble Beach. I got to play...
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, I got to play Pebble Beach a few years ago on my birthday, and had my dad out there with me walking the course, and it was just such an amazing experience.
You were playing with him?
Well, he didn't play, but he came out and came for the walk, and we really enjoyed that experience. So that's definitely one of my favorites.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like it has like a lot tied to it as well, more than just the golf course. So that's
For sure.
incredible. And I guess like, what's your advice to anybody that wants to like start, maybe like somebody that's young that wants to go into golfing or go into being a professional athlete? Like, yeah, what would you give them if you could go back and you had somebody talk to you?
Yeah, I think as just as in anything that you want to do well, growing up, I think it's just hard work. It's going, head first, taking risks, just pursuing with everything you have, and that's all I could recommend. I think, women, girls in sports have so much potential, and I think just work hard and sky's the limit. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thanks for coming all the way into our office today to like sit down and talk with us. We're very proud to have you as a partner, and you always have BA on your side.
Yes,
so
I'm very honored to wear the logo.
That's amazing. Yeah, we're super excited for you and see where your career continues to take you, and just know that you always have us proud of you. Just cheering you on in the background.
I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Welcome to Pushing the Envelope, Canada's unfiltered voice in construction. Real conversations, smart insights from the people building our world. Brought to you by Bothwell Accurate.